Just 50 years ago, a woman couldn't open a bank account without a man's permission. In the 70s, we needed a husband or a father to co-sign a mortgage. And until 1974, women in the US couldn't get a credit card without a male co-signer. Just let that sink in for a second. Women's financial independence is that recent. So it's no wonder that most of us are still playing financial catch-up. But the hard truth is, nobody's going to fix it for us. If we don't take control of our wealth today, we're leaving our future in somebody else's hands. In this video, I'm diving into what wealth building really looks like for a woman, the obstacles that we face, the myths that we've been told, and the steps that we need to break free. Because the truth is, the whole financial system was never designed for women to win. But that doesn't mean that we can't change the game. I'll be sharing the hard truths that nobody talks about, along with practical advice that you can use to build wealth, even if you feel like you're starting late. I know firsthand how easy it is to feel like money is just out of reach. For years, I made all the classic mistakes: spending to keep up, not investing early, and thinking financial security would just happen one day. And honestly, I wish that somebody would have told me that building wealth isn't about luck or earning six figures. It's about managing what you do have. That's why I'm passionate about this, because the more women who take control of their finances, the more power we have over our future, our choices, and our freedom. And I want that for every woman watching this. So let's start by uncovering why it feels like we're behind financially and what we can do to change it. If you've ever felt behind with money, it's not your fault. The system wasn't designed for us. For most of history, women weren't even allowed to control their own finances. And while things have improved, the effects of that history still shape the way women build wealth today. Let's just take a moment to understand how recent women's financial independence actually is. In both the UK and the US, women could not open a bank account in their own name without a male co-signer until the 1970s. If a woman wanted to buy a home before the mid-1970s, she needed a husband or a father to co-sign the mortgage because banks didn't trust women to be financially responsible. Until the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974, banks in the US legally required women to have a husband or father co-signer for a credit card. Many women were even asked to bring their husbands in to approve their application. It was perfectly legal to pay women less than men for the same job until the Equal Pay Act came in. This was 1963 in the US and 1970 in the UK. Just because it's illegal now doesn't mean that it still doesn't happen. In the UK, until the Sex Discrimination Act of 1975, banks and employers openly denied women financial services and job opportunities just because they were female. This history isn't just an interesting fact. It's the reason why so many women feel like they're playing financial catch-up. Think about it. If your mother or grandmother couldn't even open a bank account or buy a home in her own name, where would she have learned about investing, building wealth, or financial independence? But she didn't, because she wasn't given the chance. And that means that many of us were raised in households where money wasn't talked about or managed in a way that built long-term wealth. We weren't taught financial independence. We were taught to rely on somebody else. And that mindset is still holding women back today. But the good news is we now know better and we can do better. We are the first generation of women who have full control over our finances. And that means we have the power to change our financial future. Even today, the playing field isn't level. And that's not just an opinion, it's a fact. The financial world wasn't built for women to succeed, and we're still dealing with those effects today. For centuries, wealth, property, and financial power controlled by men. Women were shut out of the decision-making, told to be good wives rather than smart investors, and discouraged from being financially independent. And while legally we still have the same rights, the truth is we're still fighting a system that was built by men for men. Here are 5 hard truths that women face building wealth. Let's start with the most obvious one. Women still earn less than men. On average, women in the US earn about 83 cents for every dollar a man earns. In the UK, the gender pay gap is about 14%. And this isn't just about salaries. It impacts bonuses, pensions, promotions, and lifetime wealth. Lower earnings mean that women save and invest less, leading to a smaller safety net and fewer long-term financial opportunities. Women retire with 30 to 40% less than men. And when women do negotiate for a higher pay, we're often seen as pushy or demanding, whereas in a man is confidence, and that's the system that we're dealing with. Then there's the motherhood penalty. Women are more likely to take time off work to raise children, care for elderly parents, or step into the unpaid caregiving roles. And guess what? That costs us big time. Every year out of the workforce can reduce lifetime earnings by up to 10%. Women are more likely to work part-time or in lower paid, more flexible roles. This is to accommodate caregiving, but it also affects our salary growth and retirement savings. And even though it's illegal, most employers still discriminate against mothers, assuming that they'll be less committed, which impacts their hiring and promotion opportunities. Meanwhile, men don't face these setbacks when they become fathers. The result is that more women struggle to build wealth, while men can continue advancing their careers. Too many women rely on their partner for financial security, only to find themselves struggling later on. Divorce is financially devastating for women. Studies show that a woman's household income drops by over 40% after divorce, while men's tends to recover quicker. Women are also more likely to take on household expenses, even when they earn less. And many women don't have separate savings and investment pots, making them financially vulnerable in case of a divorce, widowhood, or a partner losing their job. I'm not anti-relationship. I'm about making sure whatever happens, you're financially secure on your own. We talk a lot about the gender pay gap, but what about the gender spending gap? Women are marketed to way more aggressively than men, and we're pushed to spend on things that don't build wealth. Beauty, fashion, wellness, and lifestyle industries thrive by convincing women they need to spend to be worthy or successful. Women are told to invest in looking good. Social media has only made this worse. Constant comparison and influencer culture leads to impulse spending and keeping up with unrealistic lifestyles. The result is that women often prioritize spending over investing, even without realizing it. And that's exactly what keeps us stuck. When men have extra money, they're more likely to invest it. When women have extra money, we're more likely to save it. And that's a problem. Studies show that women invest less than men, even though we tend to be better investors when we do. Many women avoid investing because of the fear of losing money, and they don't realize that not investing at all is the biggest financial risk. The financial industry often feels intimidating and male-dominated, making women less likely to engage. And this isn't an accident. The finance world was built by men, and for a long time, women weren't even part of the conversation. But that changes today. None of these are excuses. They're just realities that we need to be aware of so that we can break free from them. So the system might not have been built for us, but that doesn't mean that we can't win it anyway. So now that we know the obstacles, let's talk about how we can start to overcome them. We've talked about the barriers that women face in building wealth, but some women are just breaking free and building their own financial independence. So what are they doing differently? It's not about luck or having a high-paying job. It's about making intentional choices with your money. Let's break down these habits. First and foremost, successful women never leave their financial future in somebody else's hands. They make sure that they have their own savings, investments, and financial plan, whether they're single or in a relationship. They don't assume that a partner, a job, or the government will care for them in the long term. They actively learn about money. They read books, follow financial content, and seek financial advice. Because at the end of the day, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to be able to take care of yourself financially. One of the biggest things that separates wealthy women from those that struggle is that they invest. And they don't wait for the perfect time. They just start, even with small amounts. They understand that investing is how wealth is built. They take advantage of tax-free accounts and they set up automatic investments. They don't let the fear of losing money stop them. They focus on the long-term growth. Remember, the hardest part is starting, and you don't need to be an expert to start. You just need to begin. Wealthy women aren't afraid to spend money. They just spend it differently. They don't fall into emotional spending traps. They focus on value-based spending. They put their money into things that will improve their life and add value, rather than buying things to impress other people. They create financial boundaries. They don't feel guilty about saying no to expensive social events, luxury trends, or impulse spending. This doesn't mean that you need to live a boring, restricted life. It means that you're making sure that your money is working for you, not just disappearing on things that don't matter. One of the biggest wealth building moves that women can make is learning to negotiate their pay. Successful women know their worth and aren't afraid to ask for it. They research industry salaries and confidently negotiate when taking on new roles. They practice salary conversations so that they're prepared when the opportunity comes up. Most men negotiate their salaries without hesitation, and women need to do the same. Successful women don't rely on just one job or paycheck. They create different income streams so that they're never dependent on just one. They look for ways to make money outside of their 9 to 5, whether that's side hustles, freelancing, or investing. They understand that financial freedom comes from owning assets, not just earning paychecks. Success with money isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about making small, smart decisions consistently over time. You don't have to get everything right overnight, but the sooner you start making these shifts, the sooner you'll see your financial life change. We've covered the barriers, mindset shifts, and what successful women do differently. Now let's break it down into clear, actionable steps. Step 1, know your numbers. Before you grow your wealth, you need to know exactly where you stand. Track your income and expenses. Where is your money actually going? Calculate your net worth, which is your assets like your car, house, savings, investments, minus your liabilities, loans, credit cards, mortgage. Identify financial leaks. What are some unnoticed spendings that are leaking out of your budget every month? It's not about restriction, it's about control, because you can't change what you don't track. Step number 2 is to pay yourself first. Most people spend first and save whatever's left. Successful women do the opposite. Automate a portion of your income straight into your savings or investments before you spend. Treat it like a non-negotiable bill. You can start with 5 to 10% of your income and build it up over time as your confidence grows. Consistency is what matters most, not the amount. Step number 3, invest early and often. Saving is great, but saving will not make you wealthy. Investing will. Even small amounts like 50 or 100 quid a month can grow significantly over time thanks to compound interest. Use tax advantaged accounts like an ISA in the UK or a Roth IRA in the US. This maximizes your returns and means you don't have to pay any tax on them. Start simple. Use low-cost global index funds. They're great for beginners, and it's the only thing that I use still. The best time to start investing was yesterday. The second best time is today. Step 4 is to diversify your income. The biggest financial risk is relying on just one source of income. Start thinking of ways to earn beyond your 9 to 5. Women who build real wealth don't just save and invest more money, they make more money. When you have multiple income streams, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And step number 5 is to protect your wealth. Building it is one thing, keeping it is another. Use tax-free investment and pension accounts. Make sure you've got an emergency fund for 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. And once you've built up some wealth, make sure that you have the right insurance and estate planning, because wealth isn't just about growing your money, but securing it for the long term. You don't need to do everything all at once, but the sooner you start making these small steps, the sooner you're going to get to financial freedom. But remember, wealth isn't built overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Now that you know the hard truths, realize it's time to take action, because information alone won't change your financial future. Action will. The best thing you can do right now is start. I'd love to hear from you. What's one financial challenge that you faced as a woman? Drop it in the comments below, because I read every single one of them, and we can all learn from each other's experiences. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and share. It really helps more women see this content. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to start. Every smart financial decision that you make today is a step towards a more secure and independent future. You've got this.